Twins snapped the 4-game losing streak. Pablo on the mound. Plus, they put up double-digit runs for the first time in weeks. Final score versus the Angels, 10-5. We're breaking it all down next on the Locked On Twins POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Twins POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's Theo Tollefson. Give him a follow on X, at Theodore_Tollef1, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. And before we jump into all the action from tonight's game, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. Okay, game 2 versus the Angels here. You got the 4-game losing streak. Losers of 15 of their last 21, but who's keeping track? Pablo on the mound. Pablo was everything you needed tonight. I mean, he kept them in it. He chewed up some innings, which was also so massive. 7 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned, 10 Ks to just 1 walk, 106 pitches. And wouldn't you know it, they actually gave him some run support tonight, too. The backs finally woke up a little bit for one game anyways. Farmer and Wallner, they had 3 RBIs each. Santana and Jeffers, 2 more of their own. And the Twins go from kind of this 0 to hero at the plate, put up double digits for the first time, by the way, since August 21st. That was versus San Diego. And boy, does that feel like almost a decade ago by now. Twins win it, though. Losing streak snap. We'll talk Pablo next. But just your biggest takeaways, kind of your 8 topics from tonight's game.
Offense finally showed up. I mean, that has been missing for the majority of the month of September, and they finally showed up today. They put up big runs, so there was run differential in case there was some struggling from Pablo, which we eventually did see, but nothing too terrible that, you know, they didn't have a comfortable lead where things were really getting away from them. So, I mean, the home run from Farmer, you got Wallner hitting another, Santana, who's been the most consistent, you know, power hitter this team has had all season. Jeffers showing up there in the second as well, getting a couple of ribbies. So it's good to see this. It's been long overdue, and hopefully because of this rally sausage somehow being resurrected from the grave and then getting the weird mojo back from that, I mean, they're going to make the most out of it, and that thing might be the superstitious thing to get them over the hump into the postseason.
That's so funny, man. I had all these great notes, all these great stats from Aaron Gleeman. He just dropped this fantastic little deep dive into their kind of hitting woes up on The Athletic. And I was just going to come on here. I was just going to grill them, the lineup, the offense, the bats for the, you know, the first 15, 20 minutes. Now that I've got some fun stats to back all this up. And what do? They put up double digits. They did it without Royce. No Correa, obviously, no Buxton, obviously. So I guess, can one game give them the confidence and kind of momentum they need to get back on track? Or how many more games, you know, in a row do you need to see them put up more than 2-3 runs like they have been, just to say, okay, they're back to playing some Minnesota Twins baseball again? Where's that kind of meter at?
I mean, what I want to see them do is just complete this homestand with 4 straight wins, 5 straight wins, if you count tonight. But what they need is they just need a game like this to really make their momentum shift. There's not much time left to adjust and, you know, build off of momentum. They need this now, so they got to go out and take advantage of the opportunity they just made for themselves tonight and continue a hot streak. And like I said about a week ago, this was the easiest stretch of the schedule remaining. Well, you've already dropped 4 out of 5 of this 10-game stretch that you really needed to, you know, take advantage of. So, yeah, not looking great, especially after that sweep by the Royals. But, you know, you take what you can get at this point. You build a bit of a lead over Boston, who lost to the Orioles tonight, so they fall back to 4 games. Detroit's still staggering at 3. Seattle's playing right now against San Diego, so it's hard to say where they're going to fall in between this. But, you know, you give a little ground between them. But at this point, with that sweep to the Royals, the AL Central is out of place. Now you just got to do what you can to remain in that final wild card spot.
Yeah, we'll talk about the division stuff a little bit more in segment 3, but I got to fling out some of these stats because some of them are just so wild. Again, this is from Aaron Gleeman's latest piece up on The Athletic. Go check it out if you haven't already. On August 13th, the Twins put up 13 runs versus the Royals. At that point, August 13th, they ranked 6th in OPS and runs scored, so 6th. Since then, 27th in OPS and 28th in runs scored. Only the Angels and the White Sox have been worse. Same Angels team you obviously just gave 6 runs up to last night and lost to, but I digress. Over that same time, they ranked 3rd on swinging at pitches outside the strike zone. They've whiffed on the 5th most pitches overall in the league, and they got the 3rd worst strikeout to walk ratio in the MLB as well. And that's all. I mean, that's 4 weeks, man. That's over the last. That's a pretty massive sample size. It's not just like the last week they really struggled and went in the tank. 4 weeks. That's a big sample size. Like, I understand if you've been below average all year. Okay, we're just not very good. We're just not a good team in this specific category. But we know they can do it. They were top 5, top 10 in multiple categories through the first 4.5 months. Like how do you explain that? That big sample size of just how they just went in the tank for these, last 25, 26 games like they have.
I mean, those cold streaks show up at any point for any team in the season, and this was just the worst possible timing. And a lot of it is attributed to the injuries that, just come with it. And the offense was slumping. And when you have so many of your key players out, then, guys have to play through injuries, as we saw with Max Kepler, which probably should have been, him being placed on the injured list much earlier than he actually was. Right. And then you still have Manuel Margot going down. Wheeler Castro's been playing through some pain as well. So that's really what the thing is. You're forcing guys who are a bit untested in these situations and are not getting the rest they need to really step up and try to fight through this. And I think that's been the results of what we've seen on the field in the last few weeks. But finally, some guys are getting the rest they need tonight. Christian Vasquez is on maternity leave for the time being, but he'll be back here soon. Hopefully, Jair Camargo gets into tomorrow's game just to get in opportunities while he's back with the big league club and doesn't go back just sitting on the bench. So hopefully, Deshaun Kersey Jr. got his first major league hit tonight in his final at bat. We can finally see Camargo be one of those last guys from St. Paul, even though he was the first one, second one called up this season behind Austin Martin, to finally get his hit on the majors.
Yeah, plus their exit velocity's down, I guess. Their bat speed's down, I guess. Their hard hit percentage ranks 26 out of 30. And, kind of to your point, too, you look at the top 4 guys on the payroll, man. Correa not playing, Buxton not playing, Kepler not playing, /not good when he is. Vasquez has kind of come back down to earth these last 3-4 weeks, if you will. Those 4 guys account for over half the payroll, 53% of the payroll. And you're getting really nothing from those 4 guys. I mean, it's almost impressive. That's like so hard to do, I feel like. But maybe, again, it's just a long season with baseball, and it is a grind. And I'm sure if you were to pull all 30 teams, nobody's healthy at this point either. But, no. Royce, Castro, Miranda, I know you touched on a couple of those guys. Royce, Castro, Miranda, they're the next highest on the payroll, that is. And they've kind of been slumping as well. I mean, they've all gone missing too. So that's your top 7 core guys on the payroll. But it sounds like, I was going to ask, is that a coaching thing? But it sounds like this is just part of baseball sometimes. And weird things happen because it is such a long season with so many ebbs and flows, correct?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Deep dive into Pablo Day. 7 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned. Again, 10 Ks, just 1 walk on 105 pitches. I mean, when you needed him the most, who are you going to call? You're going to call Pablo. 4 earned, 8 hits. Okay, sure, not great, but like enough to get them the dub. That's all that really matters, especially when they're reeling like they have. Not to mention, this strikeout to walk ratio, I don't have it pulled up. The last 4 or 5 starts has got to be one of the better ones in the MLB. That ratio has been nuts.
Yeah, no, he's been dominant. And just to correct you, he didn't have any earned runs tonight. All of them were unearned against him. So that is a saving grace, and why his ERA is now underneath 4 for the first time in a long while. So you got to take what you can get there. Again, he's had impeccable command of the strike zone, and that's been helpful in the right ways. Everything's been getting a lot of swing and miss with his pitch mix. So you got to take what you can get. And, it's great to have him back into form and reset things, but it seems like, and obviously we can say this based off the last 4 games between now and the last time he was out there, just everything's been falling apart with everyone else as of late, and you can't have just one dominant starting pitcher and then 4 others where, the rookies are 3 of them, and then you got a veteran pitcher who's, reaching his longest workload of an entire season. So you got to balance things out here. And unfortunately, it's just the one guy who can really be consistent with all that. So you got to take what you can get from him, and hopefully they can take advantage of this to get on the right track once more.
Yeah, well said. Good breakdown there. Rocco report time. Game 2 versus the Angels. The Rocco report. It says what?
Getting Louis out there for a couple innings. I know it was a
like
little rough for him in that 9th inning, but I mean, he needs to get back out there, build the recompetence of coming in for, an inning or two of work. And this is what he's going to have to do for the remainder of the season. So you got to get him out there. Might as well do it while there's a sizable lead where there's not as much pressure for him to, be in a high leverage situation. So it's a good place to start him out.
Yeah, well said. All right, plenty more deep dive from this one. Plus, got that nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships. Also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. They got it all, and whether you're into speed, power, or style, they got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back with all the parts you need at the prices you want. Easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, new athletic power rankings are up. Twins over the last 4 weeks have now dropped from 8th in the power rankings to 10 to 11 to 13 now. They're 13th in the athletic power rankings. Royals leapfrog them as they should. They're at number 9. Cleveland at 7. So Cleveland's actually dropped a spot or two over the last few weeks. It's always got a blurb every week. This week's blurb, it's got a 1-month MVP and then a 5-month MVP for each team. Take a stab who you think they put in those two categories for the Twins. 1-month MVP, 5-month MVP.
Pablo Lopez for the last month, the 5 months, either Carlos Santana or Willie Castro.
Okay, so the 1-month MVP, it's kind of confusing, actually. It's Ed Julian, which, again, I just got to be honest here. Okay. It says he had a hot start, so I don't know if, this is 1 month at any given time. And even then, I'm like, did he, though? Was he that hot for that 1 month? The 5-month
so
MVP,
it was any month in the season, not just the last month.
It has to be, right? Because it can't be Ed Julian the last month.
I mean, he's been up here pretty consistently with all the injuries.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you're looking at those games played and you're not going with the pitcher. But, I think we could both agree Pablo Lopez is
100%.
the last month. And, that's no disrespect for Julian getting things back on track. It's just...
No.
Strange. Okay.
Yeah, kind of strange. Okay, so the 5-month MVP, they put down Griffin Jax. And that I can get on board with.
I can get behind that.
Kind of weird to have a setup man be your team MVP. But it kind of reminds me of I'm a big NFL guy. Reminds me of okay, your offensive guard, your left guard is the MVP of your team. Not really known, you know what I'm saying? Not really known as the most important or valuable position compared to other spots on the team. But again, that's not to take away anything from Griffin Jax, because he has truly been an absolute rock, an absolute machine for this team in the back end of that bullpen. You just hoped it would be a bigger name like a Carlos Correa or Royce Lewis, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone wanted that at this point in the season. But again, they've only played probably combined 40% of the team games, which is not great. And hopefully 2025 is going to be a year where at least 2 of those 3 guys, probably Lewis and Correa, where they overcome that. But we just can't know, and you just got to hope you get both Buxton and Correa back for the final week of the season. And I know Buxton's probably going to try to bypass the rehab assignment, but Correa likely won't. And, it sounds like more cautiously optimistic that is reality, but, their arrival could be too little too late, depending on how the next couple of weeks here go. So, again, you got to take advantage of the time you have, playing against some easy opponents with the Angels and the Reds, but them losing to the Angels last night, I can't be as optimistic about it.
It's tough. They're making it hard, man.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, Detroit, Boston, Seattle, all 3 breathing down their neck for this 6th seed now, obviously. I've been so laser focused on catching Cleveland. What's going on with Kansas City, now Detroit. Which 3 of those, these 3 teams, again, Detroit, Boston, Seattle, which one of those 3 just knowing their remaining schedule and how they've played the last month or so, like who's most likely to catch up to the Twins and make this, kind of race down to the wire, down to the nitty-gritty that last week?
I mean, who's doing it right now is Detroit, which with Tarek Skubal, I mean, their rotation's a lot more meeker than the Twins right now because they at least have 5 guys, but the Tigers, I think they only got 3 starters in their rotation right now and then 2 bullpen days in between that, which is not great. You really do not want that going on, but their offense is just on fire right now, and that's why they're keeping pace with them. I think the Red Sox and Mariners definitely have the better pitching depth, but the Mariners have had an atrocious lineup all season, and it's just you can't win baseball games just on pitching. I mean, Jacob deGrom won back-to-back Cy Young awards without having a lot of offense behind him.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean.
If everything's equal and everybody's healthy, which I know by the time we get to the playoffs is not going to be the case, but if just say everything's equal, which of those 3 teams scare you the most? Is it Detroit?
No.
In like a head-to-head matchup versus Minnesota, it's Boston. Okay, it's Boston. Okay,
Boston probably because they did well against them earlier in the season, but that's when everyone was healthier, and you still got to play them not this weekend, but the following out in Fenway.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's going to be a big tester for them as well, and Boston's definitely salivating at looking at those games to have on the schedule, being this close within things, even though they did lose to Baltimore tonight. And, it's a weird race right now because Baltimore and the Yankees are going back and forth for that top wild card spot and the AL East. So at this point, I think you kind of want the Royals to maintain pace ahead of you because Yankees beat the Twins in every game they played during the regular season. Baltimore has won all 3 of them so far. I don't think the Twins are going to sweep them to end the season at home, just realistically speaking. But it would be nice if they did. So who's your best matchup? You stay in this final wild card spot, kind of like maintain, tread water there. You got the Astros, who took 4 out of 6 against during the season. And, it's the opposite of what we saw. They're not hosting. They're the visiting team for that wild card and division winner with the weakest record. And it could be the right team to go up against. I have a piece coming out on Zone Coverage. I think sometime tomorrow we're really breaking this down and, we're looking at what their weaknesses and strengths are compared to the Twins. And it's still not great because the Astros are still probably going to make it to I think this is their 8th consecutive postseason. And going to try to go to the American League Championship Series for the 8th consecutive year. But
that's crazy, dude. Come on. This is the Chiefs. This is the Kansas City Chiefs of the MLB at this point.
I mean, the Atlanta Braves in the 90s. The only
Maddox, Glavine, John Schmaltz. Did you see the new Greg Maddox documentary, by the way, up on MLB Network?
No.
I only saw some clips. Absolutely fantastic. Anyways.
Yeah, it's like in the Yankees of the mid to late 90s into
100%. It's the Patriots of the 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you've got New York, the one team you want nothing to do with. Baltimore kind of in the middle. Houston would be the one of the 3. Again, there's no like perfect answer here, but of the 3, you say, okay, let's just kind of hover at that 6th seed here. We may be better off going to Houston in the first round as opposed to New York. Yeah.
Okay. Or Baltimore. Especially.
Or Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah. Try to avoid those. Have Kansas City be the ones to face that, and they would probably get eliminated right away.
Right. Yeah.
And then that leaves the AL East winner who will face the winner of the Royals series. And then if the Twins stay at 6th and, Cleveland finishes with the 2nd best record in the American League, well, then you got an ALDS series potentially against Cleveland, which you'd rather have that.
You'd much rather have that. Yeah, absolutely. No, love talking that breakdown. Can't wait to go check that piece out over at zonecoverage.mn.com tomorrow morning, it sounds like. Nerdy stat of the day. You got any crazy stat or fun analytic Twins related? What do you got tonight?
So, as I mentioned and corrected you earlier, Pablo Lopez getting, 4 runs given up, but none of them earned. Well, the last time he had a start where he had runs given up, but none of them were earned, were all the way back on, let's see here, what is that? June 22nd, 2022 against Colorado Rockies when he was still pitching for the Marlins through 7 innings, only gave up the 1 run, which went unearned, and he dominated that one as well. It looks like he had 6 strikeouts, and his walk game was a little more, unfavorable to him at that point. He gave up 3, but, to go 2 years without having this, kind of a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of luck playing in your favor.
Yeah, no doubt. Another great nerdy stat per usual. Don't go anywhere. got to preview this last rubber match, Game 3 versus the Angels. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, it's just by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season still in full swing here. So whether it's strikeouts, could be RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code all lowercase locked on MLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. Okay, Game 3 for all the marbles, the rubber match, Zebby on the mound, Zebby Matthews. What's the scout report? And what's Zebby got to do to kind of get some more, a little bit more momentum, I guess, to put it lightly, going again here to close the season out strong?
Just throw 5 solid innings if you can, and then hand things over to the bullpen because they're going to be well rested after tonight. Maybe go 6. I think he has a bit of an advantage with this Angels lineup being pretty much the second weakest in all baseball this season, only ahead of course, the Chicago White Sox, who we don't need to keep going into because we know how atrociously bad their season has been. So he's going up against another rookie with the Angels, Jack Kohanowitz, who's been okay to start his major league career. 7 starts, has a 4.89 ERA, 1.42 WHIP. So his numbers are a bit better on paper than Zebby Matthews right now. But obviously, we're a lot more familiar with how the Twins minor league system has been working and what's been here. So I think, it's a pretty even matchup pitching wise tomorrow. I think Zebby obviously has the better command between these two guys because Kohanowitz only has 12 strikeouts and 8 walks compared to what Zebby's got going for him, which is a lot fewer than 8 walks. I don't have the exact numbers pulled up right now, but I can safely say it's fewer than that. So I think, pitching wise, it leans to his advantage. Some people might equivalent something like this with how the Twins lineup is. This is going to be more looking like a 4A baseball game than Major League Baseball game with who these teams are running out right now. And that's no offense, but in terms of experience and where the season's at, that's what we got going on right now. So hopefully they can take advantage of this rubber match. Zebby gets another win in the column and he gets back on the right track to really help this team down the stretch. Because I think we can safely say if they make it into the postseason, he's going to either be on the roster in a relief role or they'll option him down to the minor leagues to have someone who's more dependable like Diego Castillo or Randy Dobnak. I know Dobnak will not be starting this postseason if he's on the roster, but that's where we're at. So get the guy out there to just get some innings under his belt, get some good experience, and end the season on a high note because I don't think he's going to be used in any sort of starting pitching use come the postseason.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. We always talk about these short leashes with these rookie starting pitchers, Zebby specifically. I'm just curious, do you know what's the most amount of pitches he's thrown in a start this year? Up here in the bigs for the Twins this year. Any idea?
I think 93.
Okay, so he got up there. He got up there then. Okay, 93. Okay. No, that's good to know. The Reds are up next then. What's the quick snapshot on them, by the way? Because obviously you want some momentum before you go into this monster, 4-game series with Cleveland right after Cincy. So how beatable are the Cincinnati Reds right now, I guess?
Well, I wouldn't say they're entirely beatable. I mean, they've had a lot more injuries taking them down this season compared to the Twins, but they're just 4 games below 500. They got a little, things going in their way. They're won 7 of their last 10 games. They're finishing up their series against St. Louis here. So it's, it's a little more even matched, especially with, the talent still being fresh out of the minor
Sometimes
leagues.
when the bar's so low for the Twins, it's almost, or any Minnesota sport team, I probably could say, it's almost like they play down to that lower level competition. This was the T-Wolves 2 years ago, not last year, but 2 years ago. And then sometimes against good teams, they just surprise you and come out and just rise to the occasion a little bit. So Reds somewhere in the middle, it sounds like. So remaining schedule, again, Cincy, 4 with Cleveland, Boston, that's going to be huge, Miami, and then you close out with Baltimore. 1 to 10, how tough are these last 16, 17 games?
With how they've been playing, it's 8.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put it that no, with how they played over the last month, really. I mean,
I get. Yeah.
I mean, you've already lost one game that should have been a series sweep, and the only one on paper now that looks like it can still be that is against Miami. So, I mean, I'm gonna put it high. They gotta step up and show up. Otherwise, these must-win games like yesterday, or even just scathing on the teeth of getting one win in Kansas City, they're gone. So, yeah, hopefully they can win the series tomorrow and, get the same thing going and at least end the season with a winning streak of winning each series as they go into the postseason.
Yeah, again, hopefully this is another prime example where they just rise to the occasion these last 16, 17 games. 16 games after game 3 tomorrow. 16 games. So 17 games technically left. That is insane, man. We are officially, we've been in crunch time, but for the entire MLB, we are officially in crunch time. Twins finally snapped this losing streak. They win game 2 tonight, beat the Angels 10-5, got the rubber match tomorrow. Again, Zebby on the mound. First pitch for that one, 6:10 p.m. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game right here, breaking it all down. Got to go check out all of Theo's work. Give him a follow on X at Theodore Tollefson. Got a new piece coming about the playoff scenarios as well up on zonecouragemn.com. So go check that out as well. All right, go like this video, subscribe to the channel. We finally hit 8,000 subscribers, by the way. I feel like I was saying that all summer. We did it. Thanks to you guys. Much appreciated. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out. All right.